So, the invisibles. We have a problem with the feel for emptiness because we think it means nothingness. If we try to reimagine culture, yogic culture, where you're born into experience. You're not born into a world that's already there, that's got things, past and history. You're born into experience. And you experience what's invisible. And in the circle yesterday, I talked about the phases of zazen. And I would say the phases of zazen are something like you do zazen. And the next phase, I would say, is you explore zazen. And exploring zazen means you extend the experience of zazen into your throughout your body and into your circumstances. And the exploration of zazen, evolving and developing the stillness, which is a kind of stuff, a kind of substance, like, it's like some European fairy tale. I found this secret alchemical liquid, and, it's a kind of, what's the word, elixir or something. And you begin to be able to actually extend it into your body and so forth. Now, most people actually don't even get to the stage of that because they don't do zazen regularly enough, and they don't really discover how to explore experience. They think they're born into a world of things, but you're born into a world, if you're practicing, and if you're a seeker, you discover yourself, rebirth yourself in a world of experience. So that's, first is you do zazen. Second, you explore zazen. Third is you let zazen do you, or zazen does you. Do you let zazen do you? That's the first stage. But if you're still sort of in control when you're letting zazen do you, zazen just starts doing you. And then the next one is, the next two stages are, zazen begins to tune you to the world and circumstances. You can it's almost like you can tune in a station on a radio or TV or something, and you can tune zazen in. So you can begin to, stillness begins to be part of your body. And this is a real the most basic thing zazen's trying to teach you in the beginning, by sitting longer, and you're impatient, you want to do something, etc. That's all teaching you forbearance or patience or tolerance, or but when you do transmission, the key term in transmission is the iron person. You're unable to really be disturbed. So this imperturbability is one of the dynamics of the teachings from the beginning of zazen all the way through a lifetime of practice. And we can talk about it as a kind of stillness that eventually you just feel still. You are still. I mean, you move, you do things, but the movement arises from the stillness, as if the stillness was the soil of activity. Zazen does you. That can be a shift in your experience because it's in contrast to what you're programmed to do. So it's stepping into the program and changing it slightly. And it causes a shift. I'm talking partly here to say you didn't know why I talk about words so often. So you can use words to rewire, because you're wired culturally and linguistically, and that wiring is invisible. So when you talk about the Dharmakaya, means the mind as space. It means the mind as, all of us have these invisible algorithmic identities, but it's invisible. But we think it's not there. I don't know what we think. The air is invisible. Gravity is invisible. Everything you do. I mean, look, And shifts. Enlightenment is a shift. All the shifts you have where you suddenly feel your worldview is slightly changed. And really, when I was young, people had nervous breakdowns. Nobody talks about nervous breakdowns anymore. But a enlightenment experience can be very, very much like a nervous breakdown. But nowadays we know enough, because you don't know where you are. Do I really want to have this job? I'm not going to go to my job today. This is a stupid job. And my wife or my husband, they're okay, but, and then you don't know what to do. Was called a nervous breakdown. It wasn't schizophrenia or paranoia, it was just a nervous breakdown. But a nervous breakdown is quite similar to enlightenment experience, because you say, what the hell am I doing? Am I alive in this way? I could be alive in another way. And if it really sticks and you start living in the new way, then we call it enlightenment. So every little shift is a whisper of enlightenment. If you start listening to the whispers, hey, there's a different world that's possible. It's not a world out there. It's a world out there through a new in-here-ness. When we talk about the Dharmakaya as the kaya is vehicle in Sanskrit, Dharma is the truth, but it's also your experience of the four marks. You really should, if you're going to be a Dharma practitioner, you should work with the four marks so you really get the feeling of appearance. Oh, I look at that, it appears. If I look over at you, you appear. Then I look at this, and it appears. And I feel the difference. I don't just assume this stays here while I look at you. It might go away while I look at you. So the mind of the Dharmakaya is in a culture which accepts invisibility as a thingness, as a spacious thingness, which allows everything to happen. Westerners, when they hear that the word for mind, shin, basically the same in Chinese. I don't know what it is in Korean. Do you know what it is in Korean? Mind. It means mind and heart simultaneously. Yeah, but that's a conceptual idea. It actually means the mutualized pulse of the lungs and the heart, and the mind, which can influence that mutual pulse. So your whole chest is the vehicle for the mutual pulse of heart and mind, which you can affect with your mind intent. Your mind intent, which is invisible, I don't know why it's there. Your mind intent can affect the pulse of the breath and affect the pulse of the heart. And if you see somebody attractive across the room, you know, and we actually change our. We do this, we don't even know we're doing it because we're not part of a yogic culture. We do it, but we don't have an awareness of doing it. And the knowing we live within is so much more diverse than consciousness can handle. Yeah, okay, that's good enough for today. Okay. I see you circling.